For joining us on this Monday, the 9th of July, coming to you live from Seoul, I'm Shin Se-min. And these are the stories we're following at the top of the hour. It is day 2 of South Korean President Moon Jae-in's 4-day state visit to India. The boosting economic ties is front and center of the visit, with some big-ticket investment announcements. We have more on this big developing story in Thailand. 4 boys have been rescued from the flooded cave so far, and it's raced against time as rescue teams only have a short time frame to extract the remaining 8 boys and their coach as monsoon rain forces their hand. Making history, Texas Rangers South Korean slugger Choo Shin-soo extends his on-base streak to 47 games, a new single-season record for the Rangers. Now, with this amazing run, Choo earns a ticket to play in the MLB All-Star Game as the first Korean-born position player. Our starting point this morning, the 4 ministers of South Korea, the U.S. and Japan met for the second time in less than a month on Sunday to discuss the U.S. Secretary of State's 3rd visit and the most recent visit, that is, to North Korea. Now, they all confirmed Pyongyang's willingness to denuclearize, but that sanctions on the regime should remain in place for now. Our Iji-won starts us off.
U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said that on his 3rd trip to Pyongyang on Friday and Saturday, he and officials there reaffirmed North Korea's willingness to denuclearize. But he said until that happens, economic sanctions on the regime will remain in place. The secretary was speaking Sunday at a joint press conference in Tokyo after meeting with his South Korean and Japanese counterparts Kang Kyung-hwa and Taro Kono, with whom he shared the results of his North Korea trip.
But first, let me make clear. North Korea reaffirmed its commitment to complete denuclearization. We had detailed and substantive discussions about the next steps towards a fully verified and complete denuclearization.
He also said that the 2 sides had lengthy discussions about what complete denuclearization means. The North, he said, acknowledged that the scope of the process is broad, but it did not challenge the notion that it has to denuclearize completely. The North Koreans also reportedly understand that denuclearization makes no sense in the absence of verification, and that verification will happen. Pompeo indicated that there has been progress, but progress alone, he said, does not justify relaxing the existing sanctions.
We need to work on those efforts simultaneously. And so it is absolutely the case that there are places where there will be things that take place along the way that help achieve the security assurances that the North Koreans need and improvement in the peaceful relations between our 2 countries during the time that denuclearization is taking place. But the economic sanctions are a different kettle of fish altogether.
Pompeo said the world will see continued enforcement efforts by the United States and stressed that all nations need to fully implement the UN security resolutions until final, fully verified denuclearization occurs. This is seen as a message to North Korea's closest allies, China and Russia, who have recently loosened their grip on Pyongyang. Pompeo was asked about North Korea saying that it's disappointed with the talks because of unilateral gangster-like demands from the U.S., to which he said that if those requests were gangster-like, then the world must be a gangster because denuclearization is what the UN Security Council has agreed on. South Korea's Foreign Minister Kang Kyung-hwa saw Pompeo's visit to the North as the first step in moving towards the goals set by their leaders, and she promised Seoul's cooperation.
And we expect these to be followed up by further constructive and productive negotiations between the U.S. and North Korea, and the Republic of Korea stands ready to provide whatever assistance is needed to move the dialogue along.
The 3 foreign ministers also confirmed their ironclad commitment to achieving their shared goal of completely ridding the North of its nuclear program. Iji-won, Arirang News.
U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has been talking up for a brighter future for North Korea, urging leader Kim Jong-un to follow the path to prosperity taken by Vietnam. Speaking at a business event in Hanoi on Sunday, Pompeo says North Korea can replicate the path of prosperity and partnership the U.S. has with Vietnam, a longtime former enemy. He also added that if North Korea seizes the moment, the miracle could be theirs as well. And now to some inter-Korean related issues. The repair work on the facilities that will be used for the inter-Korean reunions of the separated families begins today. According to Seoul's Unification Ministry, a 22-member team will leave for the north to renovate facilities at North Korea's Mount Kumgang Resort, where the reunification event will be held from August 20th to the 26th. After a 3-day on-site inspection of the facility last month, it was determined that the resort needed some renovation. Officials say the repair work is expected to last until mid-August. Shifting focus, President Moon Jae-in has kicked off his 4-day trip to India with a visit to the world's largest Hindu temple as a show of respect for the culture and the people of India. But dominating his agenda for the rest of his state visit will be the economy. Our Moon Gun-young, traveling with the president, files this report from New Delhi.
With a population of 1.3 billion and growing, and an economy expanding at the fastest pace in the world, India has been identified as a new frontier for South Korea for strategic and business interests. Now, with that in mind, South Korean President Moon Jae-in has kicked off his 4-day state tour of the South Asian country with a visit to the largest Hindu temple in the world. Welcomed with garlands, a tikka and kalwa, or holy thread on the wrist, President Moon and First Lady Kim Jong-un admire the architecture and appreciate the culture and religion of the Indian people. Then, South Korea's first couple performed the abhishek by offering holy water. Deeper understanding of each other's culture and strengthening people-to-people exchange. It's the first P of what South Korea has identified as the main bilateral agenda with India, the 3P+, people, prosperity, peace, and more. On the way out, the president leaves written in the visitor's book, "I pray for peace for Korea, India, and the world here at the Akshardham temple where deities reside." But it's a second P, prosperity or economic ties, that's the primary focus of Mr. Moon's first visit to India as president. The South Korean president is traveling with a huge delegation of business leaders, and dominating the agenda on day 2 will be a South Korea-India business forum, which will likely open a new avenue for bilateral partnerships, and a visit to Samsung's new smartphone factory, said to be the world's largest, for ribbon-cutting ceremony. Samsung has invested over $710 million in the project, which adds capacity to the company's Noida plant, which makes smartphones, refrigerators, and flat-panel televisions. Guiding the president around the new plant and briefing the president will be Samsung Electronics Vice Chairman Lee Jae-young, the first encounter between President Moon and the leader of the nation's biggest conglomerate. It'll also be Lee's first official event since being released from the jail earlier this year after the Seoul Appeals Court suspended his 2.5-year prison term over bribery and embezzlement charges. President Moon's first full day in India is fully dedicated to expanding the economic ties with the world's second most populous nation that's fast becoming the most dynamic consumer market. Now, the president's economic aides say this reflects the importance of India, the last great untapped opportunity for export-driven South Korea, as it seeks to cut reliance on its 2 biggest trade partners. Traveling with the South Korean president, Moon Gun-young, Arirang News, New Delhi.
And staying in India, in line with efforts to make a success of its new southern policy, President Moon says India is a key partner for the policy that encompasses cooperation in various fields. Our Ta Sang-mi reports on the South Korean leader's interview with the Times of India.
Seoul's top office shared President Moon Jae-in's written interview with an Indian daily newspaper just before the president left for his 4-day state visit to the South Asian country. In his interview with the Times of India, President Moon referred to India as a key partner for his new southern policy that encompasses cooperation in infrastructure, defense, science, and the economy, as he hailed the nation as the most populous democracy in the world. President Moon wrote that, quote, he highly values cooperation with South Asian countries, and that's why he sent special envoys to India and ASEAN for the first time last year. Building future partnership for people, prosperity, and peace is the vision for the new Southern policy. As for South Korea-India economic cooperation, President Moon said the fields are boundless, but expressed his wish to see more collaboration with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's initiatives for Make in India, Smart India, and Digital India. This will be in the manufacturing, infrastructure, and high-tech industries. The South Korean leader also mentioned the hundreds of Korean companies doing business in India, including Samsung, LG, and Hyundai Motor Company, and added that startups and small and medium-sized companies are also eyeing the vast Indian market. He added that bilateral trade and investment should continue as the two sides keep upgrading the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, or CEPA, a free trade agreement between Seoul and New Delhi. When asked about South Korean government's direction to achieve peace on the Korean peninsula in the wake of the two inter-Korean summits and the Pyongyang-Washington summit, President Moon vowed to follow through on the decisions made in those landmark meetings, as he quoted India's venerable figure, Mahatma Gandhi, saying there is no path to peace, peace is the path. President Moon also called on India to work together towards a lasting peace on the Korean peninsula that will be passed on to the South Asian region. Cha Sang-mi, Arirang News.
And it is President Moon's first visit to India since his inauguration last year. Why a trip to India? Our Blue House correspondent Hwang Ho-jun gives us a brief introduction of the country.
The world's largest democracy, the second most populous country, where cows are considered sacred. There are many epithets to describe the country. But for South Korea's presidential office of Cheongwade, India's economic potential is its main focus.
The streets bustling with people, housing one of the youngest labor forces in the world and a significant technical capacity. The home of one of the world's most ancient civilizations has well positioned itself to become a rising economic powerhouse.
To elaborate a little more, 850 million of India's 1.3 billion population are considered economically productive. On top of that, 65% of the population is under 35. The IMF predicted its GDP growth rate to hit 7.4% in the fiscal year 2018-19. India is also known for taking the lead in new areas such as the Fourth Industrial Revolution and space air, all of which will likely lead the country to join the ranks of the US and China and become one of the, quote, G3 nations in the near future. But what makes India even more attractive is the fact that Seoul and New Delhi share no bad blood. In fact, the top office compared the situation to South Korea's bilateral relationship with China and how it took a hit during the deployment of the THAAD anti-missile system on the Korean peninsula. China imposed economic retaliation measures for a while, dealing a serious blow to the South Korean economy. In other words, Seoul expects that economic cooperation with India would not likely be easily shaken. President Moon Jae-in has emphasized time and time again that India is a significant part of his new southern policy, which is to expand Seoul's diplomatic horizon with ASEAN nations. Making the most out of India's potential, President Moon will seek to strengthen the 45-year-old diplomatic relationship by seeking a strategic partnership and future-oriented relations. Hwang Ho-jun, Arirang News, New Delhi.
Four out of 12 boys have been rescued after they were trapped for more than 2 weeks inside a flooded cave in Thailand. For more on this and other news around the world, we turn to our Do Adam at the News Center. Adam, so officials had said the extraction process could take months. What changed?
Well, officials believe the operation to rescue the youth football team is not as difficult as they initially thought. The acting governor of Chiang Mai province said mild weather and falling water levels in recent days had created optimal conditions for an underwater evacuation. But Sunday's extraction process was still risky and complicated. Cave rescue experts had considered an underwater extraction to be a last resort, especially as most of the boys do not know how to swim. 18 divers, both local and foreign, guided the four boys to safety, swimming through narrow submerged passageways that claimed the life of a former Thai Navy diver on Friday. The four boys, whose names were not released, were then transported to hospital. 8 of the boys and the coach remain inside, and their extraction was called off on Sunday night until the next day to give divers time to restock supplies.
We will be ready soon, because we will need to redo the laying out of all the air tanks and all systems along the way again. We have used everything in the setup that we had today. The setup team will do their work again once they are ready.
However, monsoon rain and storms are expected in Chiang Mai over the next few weeks, which will certainly hamper rescue operations. Water pumps have drained a significant amount of water out of the cave, but time is still of the essence. Officials are hoping to get the remaining 9 out within the next 4 days. In other news, Western Japan has been slammed by unprecedented torrential downpours that have caused flooding and landslides, leaving dozens of people either dead or missing. Rescue operations are ongoing to evacuate residents from the hardest-hit villages, while many are still waiting to find their loved ones. Our Kim Yo-sun reports.
Rescue and cleanup operations are underway in Japan after the nation's western region has been witnessing historic rainfall since last Thursday, downpours that have left over 100 people dead or missing as of Sunday. Kurashiki, a city in western Japan with a population of just under 500,000, has been hit hardest. The number of casualties is expected to increase as rescue operations continue. Rescuers, including personnel from the military, police, and fire departments, are using boats and helicopters to evacuate residents.
I didn't expect something like this, so I'm left with what I'm wearing.
It was scary, but I'm relieved and very grateful for everyone's help.
Many are still hoping to find their loved ones amid the rainfall that triggered flash floods and landslides.
I went to my father's family home, but it was hopeless. We were hoping to find 2 people, but still can't find one.
The Japanese government has set up an emergency management center, and Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said rescuers are, quote, working against time. Kim Yo-sun, Arirang News.
At least 10 people have been killed and more than 70 others injured after a train derailed in northwest Turkey. Officials said the train came off the rails on Sunday due to heavy rain and landslides. It was travelling from the town of Kabikule on the Bulgarian border to Istanbul, carrying just over 360 passengers. The office of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said he had received information about the incident from his ministers and has sent his condolences.
Four out of 5 crewmen have been rescued after their fishing boat collided with a tugboat in waters off Korea's southwestern coast. The accident occurred shortly after 7 p.m. on Sunday in waters southeast of an island near Kunsan, Jeollabuk-do province, where the 7.3-ton shrimp boat, that is, hit a 99-ton tugboat and overturned. While 4 of the members were rescued thanks to an air pocket, the boat's 56-year-old captain remains unaccounted for. An Asiana Airlines flight bound for Los Angeles returned to South Korea early Monday morning after low tire air pressure was reported. That flight, with nearly 300 people on board, returned to Incheon International Airport at about 4 a.m. Monday morning, some 7 hours after its departure. Asiana Airlines says it will schedule another flight bound for LA in the coming hours. You may want to think again about the saying that cameras never lie. The emergence of, quote, deep fakes or authentic-looking fake videos makes it just harder for people to believe what they actually see. Our Kim Ji-yeon tells us more.
We may have entered a world where it's going to be harder to believe what we see. New technology is making it possible to make realistic videos of people appearing to say things they never actually said or doing things they never actually done. The videos are known as deepfakes. The name comes from the process of deep learning, a form of artificial intelligence. It utilizes face mapping technology and are created by loading a set of instructions into a computer, along with lots of images and audio recordings. The software has already been used to create fake celebrity pornography. By the time the prominent figure is able to show that a video is not real, it may already have been distributed. And the emergence of deepfakes may not only tarnish someone's reputation, Intelligence officials warn they could even be used to threaten national and global security or interfere in elections. The issue got attention earlier this year when U.S.-based website BuzzFeed published a deepfake political video that showed former U.S. President Barack Obama criticizing President Donald Trump. In delicate times when diplomacy is key in maintaining global peace and stability, imagine what a fake video of a U.S. leader or an official from North Korea or Iran could do if it appears to show the figure threatening the other of an impending disaster. It could create chaos and instability. In light of this, efforts are being made to identify and remove deepfakes. AI is being trained to distinguish them by counting the times individuals depicted blink their eyes, since the subjects in a fake video don't blink their eyes the same way that people in an authentic video might. But in the long run, forgers may be able to create more realistic blinking in their fake videos, so experts say other types of physiological signals should also be considered to detect deepfakes in the future. Kim Jong-un, Arirang News.
South Korean slugger Chu Shin-soo of the Texas Rangers has broken the single-season franchise on-base record after extending his streak to 47 games. And the Rangers outfielder has been named to his first career MLB All-Star game, becoming just the third Korean overall and the first Korean position player to make it into the lineup. Our Lee Seung-jae tells us more.
All aboard the choo-choo train. The single-season on-base record didn't come easy, as Chu used his speed and a little bit of luck in his final at-bat against the Detroit Tigers, hitting an infield single off of reliever Victor Alcantara in the ninth inning of the Rangers' 3-0 win at Comerica Park in Detroit. With the latest performance, the Busan native breaks the team record held by Julio Franco, who currently coaches the Lotte Giants Futures League team. The record is also the longest active streak in Major League Baseball, as Chu has been on base in every game since May 13th. But he still has more records to break. Among active players, Joey Votto of the Cincinnati Reds and Albert Pujols of the LA Angels own the record with a 48-game streak, while Will Clark holds the Rangers franchise on-base record of 58 games over a two-season span in 1995 and 1996. But he would have a long way to go for the all-time Major League record. The legendary Ted Williams holds that honor, reaching base in 84 consecutive games in 1949. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
And staying with sports, South Korean-born American Kevin Na clinched his first U.S. PGA title in 7 years on Sunday with a final round of 6 under par 64 to win a military tribute at the Greenbrier Classic. 5 birdies and 6 holes on the front 9 put the 34-year-old in control as he finished with a 19 under par 261 for his second career win. Na's only previous tour win came back in 2011 in Las Vegas.
Good morning. Over the weekend, we had autumn-like clear blue skies with bearable temperatures, quite cool and breezy in the eastern regions. And for today, monsoon rain is in the forecast for most parts of the country. Rain clouds are moving in from the west with showers since early this morning, and soon most parts will see moderate to heavy monsoon showers. And this time, upper regions will get heavier showers, and rain will spread to most regions and will get heavier as the day goes on. And Seoul could see up to 80 millimeters of somewhat heavy showers until tomorrow morning. And temperatures will not rise much. Seoul will see highs 3 degrees lower than yesterday, topping out at 25 degrees Celsius. And Daegu will have another quite breezy day at 23 degrees, but Gwangju and Jeju will be warm at 29 and 29 degrees Celsius. And rain will linger until Tuesday, then we'll see temperatures in the 30s for the latter half of the week, but the heat should be quite bearable. That's Korea for you, and here's international weather for viewers around the world.
that is it for us at the hour on Arirang News, but keep it tuned for more news updates coming up at noon Korea time. Thank you for watching and goodbye for now.